Hello and welcome to iBuzz. I'm your host Nashin Bukhari, bringing you the best and the most exciting entertainment news from showbiz industry, followed by a very interesting review on 2009 romance and comedy drama 500 Days of Summer. First things first, let me quickly take you to the top stories of the day. James Bond to stay on the big screen after Amazon deal. Friends reunion delivers the one with a lot of unapologetic nostalgia. Kelly Clarkson routs Ellen DeGeneres for primetime spot for her talk show. Reggae John Page talks about on life after Bridgerton and that James Bond speculation. And Cruella, an unexpected treat with Emma Stone's dark spin on the Disney villain's origins. And now moving to the top story of the day. The Kelly Clarkson show is currently leading the charts per a press release by NBC with the ratings which has allowed it to snag away the top spot from the now disgraced DeGeneres, who announced not too long ago that her daytime talk show will end in 2022. To have further discussion on this, we have entertainment journalist Sukaina Benzakour with us. Sukaina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back.
So, Sukaina, with these ratings, can Kelly Clarkson become America's next sweetheart like Ellen DeGeneres?
Absolutely. I have every faith in her, I think the Kelly Clarkson show has been beating Ellen in the ratings for consecutive weeks. The show first premiered in September 2019. It's been an instant hit since then. She's won Emmy. She's been recently nominated for 6th year. I just think she's incredible. And I really see her doing a good job. I can't think of anyone else who can take Ellen's place. I really can't.
Right. And also Ellen has announced her retirement in 2022 from her famous talk show. Do you think that this announcement is the result of all the allegations that she has been receiving since a year now?
You know what? It's such a tricky one because, even before the Ellen scandal, Ellen was kind of saying that she wanted to leave before. She said that she didn't really plan on staying for too long. She's done 19 years. I mean, that's more than enough. She also said that she just didn't feel like the show was a challenge anymore. And I kind of understand that. She's been doing it for so many years. It's kind of time for her to move on now. And I feel like these talk shows, they kind of come to a natural end. We saw it with the Conan O'Brien one as well. So, I think Ellen kind of just did her time. 19 years, it's more than enough. So I can really see her moving on to something a bit more challenging, maybe a bit more creative where she can think out the box, because I think for a while the Ellen show started to become a bit unrelatable. It started to feel a bit cliche, and we want something different, and Kelly Clarkson brings that to the screen. She brings something different and fresh.
Right. So Sukaina, women representation is already very low when it comes to daytime or even late night talk shows. First it was Oprah Winfrey, now Ellen removing herself from the show. It will make the numbers even lesser. So do you think that more women should step forward and daytime talk show organizers should also consider more women hosts?
Yes, absolutely. And obviously we've seen the results. We've got someone like Kelly Clarkson. She started in 2019 and she's just become an instant hit already. And having female hosts, I feel like it helps people connect more. And I think, for example, we've got like Drew Barrymore. She's also killing it right now. Her show's becoming a great success. She is very likable as well on screen. She tells wild stories. People feel like they can relate to her. So I think we do need more female hosts, for sure. I think it's sort of like we want to see more of that on screen. We need female empowerment, and talk shows are so important. People watch them because they want to be able to relate to that person. And so, having someone like Kelly Clarkson or Drew Barrymore on our screens telling these wild stories, that's what we want.
Right. And Kelly's show has already won 3 Emmy Awards for first season. And the ratings are now skyrocketing even more. Do you think that the authorities already saw this coming and hence worked harder on building a new franchise, a new character, rather than fixing the old one?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, they've seen that it's already been a success. The ratings are really high. Kelly's kind of dominating the sort of daytime talk shows ratings. And also her show it's sort of like it appeals to people from all backgrounds, all ages, all cultures. She also highlights really important issues on there, like mental health. She had Demi Lovato on there. So this is a show that it's kind of like people can really connect with the guests. And that's what people want to see. So, they saw this opportunity. They thought, it started in 2019. It's been a great hit so far. Let's just expand it a little bit more. Obviously, they're going to have a bigger budget. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be incredible.
Right. And the top spot has already been snagged away from Ellen DeGeneres. Do you get the feeling that Ellen already, seems to be demotivated for her, oncoming season?
Yeah, I do. I feel like she's kind of had her time now. And even before this, when the scandal happened, even just watching her on screen, she just came across to me as very sort of deflated. And when she kind of apologized publicly on the show as well, you could just tell she was going to say goodbye. It's a natural end. We wish her the best, obviously, but very excited for someone like Kelly Clarkson to come in and bring us something new and fresh and exciting. So, yeah.
Right. Also, the Kelly Clarkson show has earned its dominance in daytime by hitting every benchmark for success since it premiered as the most watched talk show in 7 years. The Kelly, being the original American Idol, is already adored by most fans. But again, how much potential do you see in her show to be a very good replacement for Ellen's show?
I really think she's going to be great. I honestly do. I think, like I said, she's very authentic and real and humble. She's probably one of the only stars that I felt like she's kind of just kept a really good reputation throughout her whole career. And that is really hard to do in that industry. She's never really fallen off. And, the guests that she has on there, you can tell she's really like putting thought into it. And also I think now with a bigger budget, it's just going to allow for more kind of creativity. I can see her really thinking out of the box. Let's expect regular content, like consistent content as well, because I think she was kind of juggling the show with being on The Voice and her, other projects. But now I can really see her throwing herself into this show and really taking over that slot, because people who watch that time slot, they want someone that they can relate to and connect with, and they also want a show where they see people kind of being emotional. We want to see celebrities being emotional, crying, letting it out. And I can really see Kelly Clarkson achieving that with her show, definitely.
Right. Valerie Staab, the president of NBC Universal, has already said that they're looking forward to Ellen DeGeneres' 19th season paired with Kelly Clarkson for what is sure to be a blockbuster year. I mean, they're going to do a comparison. By 2022, the Kelly Clarkson show will be the star of their daytime entertainment schedules and an asset to their early afternoon newscasts. Do you see this comparison justified? I mean, Ellen with 19 years and then Kelly Clarkson with just, 3 or 2.5 years. Do you see this comparison justified?
I kind of do. Because, I do. Because Ellen's show, I think for a while, kind of started to feel a bit outdated. It just didn't feel relatable anymore. Just the way that she was kind of talking on there, and the guests that she had on there, you can really see that it started to just become a very sort of cliched daytime talk show. Whereas people want to see more. People want to hear stories. They want to hear, you know, like, yeah, they want to connect with these celebrities, and they want to like hear like what they've been going through, and because we want more, you know, and we can go on YouTube, for example, and we can look up like an interview, and so people are constantly searching for more. So when we tune into these shows, we want to see that. We don't just want to see someone promoting their album, you know, or talking about their relationship. We want to see something, you know, raw. And I think with Kelly Clarkson, she achieves that because she is very relatable. She comes across as just a very sort of humble person. And also she's young as well. She's kind of in that sort of, she's sort of in that
energy
bracket.
in her,
Exactly. So she's got that kind of young vibe, and a lot of young people can relate to that. And I can see the show just being really successful just online as well, just being shared online. And that's what it's about nowadays. You know, people want quick content. So Kelly Clarkson, I think, I think she's going to be great for that.
Right. Sukaina, thank you very much for having this discussion with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
That was Sukaina Benzakour with her thoughts on Kelly Clarkson's show. And now moving to other story details of the day. Future James Bond films will continue to be screened in cinemas despite Amazon's deal to buy the movie studio that co-owns the rights to 007. The tech giant bought MGM in a purchase worth $8.45 billion this week. Bond producer Barbara Bacall and Michael G. Wilson stressed that the deal did not mean the spy would be pushed solely to Amazon's streaming services. So Amazon will not have free rein to exploit the franchise with spin-offs in the way that, for example, the Star Wars universe has been expanded on Disney+. Friends Reunion finally hits the streaming service in big, slightly bloated, unapologetically nostalgic form. A Valentine to fans, the nearly 2-hour special was inevitably hard-pressed to justify the hype, working best when it lets the cast casually reminisce, while getting carried away with cameos. Other highlights include a taped piece in which producers Kevin Bright, Marta Kaufman, and David Crane discuss casting, the series, and all the serendipity that went into bringing these 6 actors together, and interviews with fans around the globe discussing what the show meant to them. Rest assured that Reggae John Page is well aware of all the buzz and speculation he's been stirring. From his rise to global fame via one of Netflix's hottest shows to hosting Saturday Night Live and causing a clamor for him to take over the James Bond role from Daniel Craig, Page is definitely having a moment. The usually very private 31-year-old British Zimbabwean actor told the publication he had no fears regarding walking away from playing Simon Bassett, the Duke of Hastings, after the success of season 1 of Bridgerton. Cruella co-founds expectations in most delightful ways, particularly for what amounts to a supervillain origin story prequel inspired by a 60-year-old animated movie. Starring Emma Stone, Cruella won't be everyone's taste, but to borrow from the original song, if Stone and Thompson squaring off doesn't entertain you at least a little, no evil thing will. Cruella premieres May 28th in theaters for a premium fee on Disney+. And fans will be definitely amazed to see Emma in a very different attire. That is all from the newsroom. We will be right back after a quick short break. Don't go anywhere and stay tuned to find out more. Welcome back. In this segment, we will be reviewing the 2009 drama 500 Days of Summer. 500 Days of Summer is a 2009 American romantic comedy drama filmed by first-time director Mark Webb. The film stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel and employs a non-linear narrative structure with the story based upon its male protagonist and his memories of a failed relationship. To review the movie further, we have Mohar Basu from India, who is an entertainment journalist. Mohar, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. How have you been?
I'm good. Thank you. So, Mohar, realistically painful, comedic, hilarious, and tragic. How did you see the movie? I mean, what were your feelings when you first saw it, and what hit you the most?
I still remember the first time I saw it, and my instant first thought was, we need more movies like this, because romantic comedies have a tendency of painting fairy tales, which is amazing. Believe me, we all love our fairy tales. But there are things that don't work out, and a lot of us spend a good part of our young years pining over a lost love, which is the time that we should use to move on, find newer things, newer passions, newer lovers. I think that's a very important takeaway from that film, which I could never get over. I see that film as perfect,
right?
Despite not having the quote-unquote happy ending.
And Joseph Gordon's amazing acting skills are something that define 500 Days of Summer. But on the other hand, Zooey seems to be the real center of gravity in the entire story.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, I think there's something to be said about free-spirited women and how they are captured through the gaze of male filmmakers, especially. I think Zoe's character is very beautifully written. She's someone she's not really a conformist, and that's what makes her beautiful. We celebrate her flaws, her imperfections, her zaniness to some extent, and I think that's beautiful about this film.
Right. And the way she keeps on behaving, and her behavior is impacting Joseph, who is playing as Tom in the movie. It's very interesting, and I mean, by the time in the beginning, he finds her very interesting and seems to be very exciting. And when the behavior changes towards him, it changes everything about Tom. So that is something which captivates the viewer.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something, I remember, I think Khalid Hosseini had once said, your first work is always your most raw and most innocent and most honest work. I think that is what makes 500 Days of Summer so special. It is their first work, the director's first work, right? So I think that's what he's been able to capture the raw emotions very beautifully. Some of these emotions, I think, haven't been made, they hadn't come on the mainstream, in any mainstream romantic comedy, because that's not what sells, There's a very famous actor in India called Ayushmann Khurrana who keeps talking about his very obscure film. Not obscure, actually it has a very beautiful fan following now that it's released on the OTT. The film is called Meri Pyari Bindu, which is about an unrequited love story. So 500 Days of Summer feels very close to that in terms of sentiment. And he keeps saying that, everyone thought the film's not going to sell because those films that don't have happy endings don't sell. And that's a challenge that a lot of filmmakers come up with, especially producers don't want to sanction such films because they assume that the audience doesn't want to watch it. But I think the audience's taste, their sensibilities over the years have changed and transformed so much. I think there's room for every sort of diverse stories. And, I think we've seen too many girl meets boy and a happy ending stories now. I think there needs to be more of a realistic stand to be taken on that.
Right. And
sometimes it doesn't work, and that's all right.
Yeah, speaking of the story, I mean, just like the narrator says in the beginning, it's just not like any romantic movie. So yeah, that speaks a lot about how the story, begins, how it, revolves around not only one or two characters, but we're also going to talk about all the other characters, because the movie has a very vast cast. When we speak about the supporting actors and their emotions, the way they portrayed everything, and the way, they try to help their friend, especially Tom's friend. I mean, let's talk about them. That how did they, play a role in Tom's emotional upbringing?
Right. But that's the thing about that's an important part of romantic comedies, how friends are the biggest support systems, you know. Of course, we're speaking in the same week that we've seen Friends reunion. And, you know, there's a line by Phoebe, you know, where she says that everything will come and go, but this is for life, which is true. So I think friends of Tom are a very important part of his, not only his social circle, but his emotional awakening, which is what makes his character so layered, and, you know, his responses so, like, you know, they kind of bring out the best in him, and sometimes they kind of stop him from doing the worst.
Right. Also, Mohar, it even won the Golden Tomato Award because it was rated 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and then IMDb ratings are 7.7. That makes the movie one of the best choice for critics in 2009.
Yeah. And I can see why, because, you know, film writers, critics, they're able to see potential in something that sometimes the audience doesn't. Audience sometimes wakes up to these films much later. A lot of the biggest hits in the world kind of grew on people, like Sholay, which is one of the greatest hits in India, opened to terrible reviews in its first week, but then people woke up to it later. So I can see why critics would have loved the film. So when I first watched it, I saw the writing, which is it's a very simple conversational film. It's all about moments. It doesn't really have a linear plot. It doesn't really have anything. It has simple moments that we can all relate to. So we go back, and, you know, all of these moments are things that have happened to all of us at some point or the other, in some relationship or the other. So I can see why the critics gave it a good review back then and thought of it as a good film, because that's what that movie does. It's a hard relate. In millennial lingo, it's a hard relate. That's what the film is.
Right. And Mohar, like we've already discussed, the movie had a massive cast with lots of supporting actors who added more to the beauty of this movie. Of all the characters, other than Tom and Summer, which one were your favorite and why?
You know, I won't lie. I know it had a beautiful ensemble, and yeah, the ensemble really brings out the best of the film. But that said, I keep revisiting the film for Zoe. It's her. You know, recently she actually posted something. I think the film released on Hulu recently, and she posted something about the film. And I remember looking at that post and thinking, you know, she makes the film beautiful because she gave women all over the world that chance to remember and re-understand the fact that, hey, it's okay if things don't work out. It's okay if, you know, we don't have to hold ourselves to those high standards of beauty and high standards of perfection in relationships. It's fine. I think that's what that character does for me, and that actor did for me. I think her acting was top notch in the film.
Right. Also, the film received Best Original Screenplay and Best Screenplay Awards at the 14th Satellite Awards and 25th Independent Spirit Awards, respectively, as well as 2 nominations at the 67th Golden Globe Awards for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and Best Actor for Gordon Levitt. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So, you know, we see why original screenplay, right? There's a certain amount of originality in the story itself. So we completely understand where that's coming from. But, you know, I think the film is not, you know, the real mark of a good film is the fact that it should stand the test of time. It's not about how many awards it takes home. It's not about how many, you know, at the end of the day, it's the kind of film that must stay in people's hearts. I think that's where 500 Days of Summer scores. It's not in all the awards that's getting. That's all an additional, it's a plus. But that said, I think a lot has to be said about the fact that it's made a mark in people's minds and hearts. It's a reference point for a lot of writers, young writers, film writers, who have gone back to the film. Like there's a film that stars Kareena Kapoor Khan in India. It's called Ek Main Aur Ek Tu, which was directed by Shakun Batra, who also later did Kapoor and Sons with Fawad. So I think 500 Days of Summer has some. I would believe it was one of Batra's reference points when he was writing his own film. So a film like this should be if it's a reference point for writers, I think it's done its job. It doesn't need the awards that's in the stats.
Right, right. So in the end, Mohar, 3 major reasons. Why would you recommend the movie to our viewers?
Because love is screwed up, and you should know that right at onset. The actors are fabulous, especially Zoe. I think she does fantastic, and it's a memo on the fact that, hey, women, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need a fairy tale. You can be your own knight in shining armor and do well for yourself. And the third and the most important reason is failed relationships are all right, guys. You'll get over it. There's nothing that you will not get over in life. One day, a year from now, you're gonna laugh at that same relationship. So live it, have the experience, and have a good time.
Right, right. Mohar, it was a brilliant review. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much for calling me. I had a great time chatting with you.
That was Mohar Basu reviewing 500 Days of Summer. And that is it from today's episode. We hope that you liked it. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time with some more entertainment news. Until then, take care and goodbye.